Oh well, so today I received quite funny package. There was a mystery CPU inside the box, and it appears to be a lapped Core i9 9980XE, the 18-core monster for the X299 platform. So this should be a binned sample for me to test and to play with, both on water and on liquid nitrogen, which we will be testing on cold soon. So this should be a very great chip. So now, just for fun, let's test it on water with the X299 Dark, using the old beta BIOS from May 2018, and see how it does, and see what the best possible Skylake-X refresh samples can do on water. So I think it should do at least 5 GHz somehow for multi-core tests like 3D Mark 11 physics or even Cinebench, but of course the temperatures will be quite high. It has been lapped. I think the whole process has been great, although the final grid hasn't been that fine to make it to mirror, but that is not that important as long as it's flat. So without further ado, let's mount the water block and see how the CPU runs. I'm using the Inferno backplate because I'm too lazy. I don't have I have damaged the integrated mounting mechanism or the backplate of this motherboard, so the backplate doesn't have the original threads, so just so that I can always slide the Inferno backplate rods quickly through the backplate. So the fastest way for me to mount a water block is just using the Inferno rods, although it's quite pain to tighten the thumb nuts because the rods are so long. Yeah, and that's how it looks like with the water block on, as well as all the memory sticks. So we are using the same memory configuration as many times before, 4 8GB sticks of Samsung B-Die based DDR4 memory, which we will just run if we just use the same benchmark profile at 3800 plus 121111. So let's just fire up the rig. Simple Galaxy VGA 710 to display the monitor signal as we are just testing 2D. Here we are in the BIOS. It says 22 degrees for the CPU at stock, 9980XE CPU. So yeah, I think we can just well, first I'll just check the operating system, and then we can get on with the actual overclocks. Okay, so now we are in those. We will just quickly test what are the temperatures when we run the CPU at stock, just like this. Here we can see CPU Z as well as core temp. Just everything at stock. Stock memory is at 2133 CAS 15, and stock mesh as well. EVGA X299 Dark, the old beta BIOS. So if we just fire up Cinebench R15 like this, of course it's still fast because it's a big CPU. So the maximum core temps are like higher 30s or mid 40s. So the hottest core was 47 degrees, so that is pretty amazing. So that's the funny thing about these CPUs, they are actually quite cool at stock, but once you start to overclock them, they really get hot very, very fast. And the score at stock was 3663. So that is our baseline. So just a bit better. Well, somewhat better than the record run on the 8-core 9900K, which was 3142 or 500 points more. But of course you could get this very, very high, like the record run on 18-core is 5800 something. And we can of course we could quickly test well, I don't have oh well, now let's go back to the BIOS and see what we can do with this particular 9980XE. Alright, so here we are in the BIOS. We can of course see that everything is still at stock, so let's load up my profile. So we can use my safe profile, which is the profile I use on LM2 when I heat up the pot. Well, it should work fine, of course, for this purpose. So we can start at 4.8, I'm sure it will do that. And just speed up this testing a bit. 32 on the mesh, 100 base clock, extreme cooling mode disabled because we are not on LM2, but we can keep the extreme voltage mode on so that we can use high voltage on the memory, which is required if you want to use more than 1.6 volts on the memory. 2.1 on the input, we have to test that does the CPU like this high input or does it like lower. 1.24 on the vcore because these CPUs really get hot very fast, the very high core counts. 1.3 on the mesh, enable low line calibration when you disable the V-droop on the pin. 1.25 on I/O and SA. SA is again not used on Skylake-X, you could just leave this at disabled. And the internal system agent, which is the actual memory controller voltage on these CPUs, that is at plus 400 offset. So I think internal system agent would be a better name for this than uncore voltage offset, because this does not affect the actual mesh. This affects the memory overclocking ability. So memory we can use 3800 plus 1.85, 12, 11, 11, 24. Good sub timings. You can copy these if you want. These are the same. These are exactly the same values which I've been using on many of my videos. The previous 9980XE overclocking video, as well as all the LM2 attempts with these CPUs. And we can keep all the other things as they are. So we can just now boot this, go into the OS and then check what the temperatures look like and how it overclocks and if it's still stable. But I'm sure it will do 4.8 at this voltage. So let's check. That is perfectly normal. It does few pause cycles when you do the initial post loop at the high settings like this. '79, EF92, D5, and then yeah, it requires one more pause cycle to get B2. Here we go to the operating system. Of course, this memory profile isn't something you could use daily, but it's okay enough just for this testing, as we are just testing how the CPU overclocks. Here we are, CPU-Z and core temp. We can already see that the idle temperatures have gone up by 10 degrees compared to the stock settings. vcore reads same as we said, 1.239. So now let's open Cinebench R15 and see how the temperatures look like. This will be significantly hot compared to the stock. So let's fire up this test. Immediately went to like mid 80s, 70. The variation is very high. The variation is from like 68 to all the way to like mid 80s. So yeah, the variation is extremely high between the individual cores. So this is not identical situation, but this already shows that I'm using very strong custom waterloop here, and already at 1.24 we are hitting mid 80s at worst. So be extremely careful when you overclock these Skylake-X high core count CPUs, and also remember that the soldered refresh CPUs actually are more hot on water cooling than the original Skylake-X CPUs like the 7980XE, when you have deleted them and use liquid metal between this die and the IHS. Liquid metal has better thermal performance than the indium solder, just because the actual liquid metal layer is more thinner than the indium solder layer. But now we can see that the score already went to 4775 from I think it was 3663 at stock, so the essential gain is already quite high. And now, of course, I cannot overclock this that much further due to the cooling restrictions or issues. So there's one problem with delete, so hold on a sec. Alright, so I couldn't start the Elite because I didn't have a management engine installed, as this is a recycled OS from my 2080 Ti Z390 tests. So now we can just open the Elite, which was released for this particular motherboard. Go to overclocking tab and change the core multiplier on the bottom core to 49 from 48. Click apply. Sadly, this version is a bit buggy, so it doesn't. It's not really working 100%. Sometimes it takes a few seconds before it actually applies the settings. The newer versions for the boards like the Z390 Dark work much better. So now we can see that the clock speed is now we can see that the clock speed has changed to 49 from 48. We can close that, and then let's try Cinebench R15 again. And remember, on these CPUs the clock speed really affects the temperatures even more than voltage. When you increase the clock speed, the actual current that the CPU will draw at the same set voltage will go up, and then the overall wattage and heat output will also increase. So let's try 4.9 like this. And it crashed. So let's try to lower the input voltage and see if it does any better by doing that. Alright, so now I'm booting 4.9 straight away. The best speed I did with the previous 9980XE, which I demoed in the previous video, which I uploaded on YouTube. The CPU did like 4.95 something with all cores and threads, but that CPU didn't run as hot as this particular one. But also it's a good sign if a CPU runs particularly hot compared to other samples of the same CPU model, because in the end, almost always the hottest running CPUs are the best when the heat issue is removed. So in other words, the hottest running CPUs are almost always the best on sub-zero cooling methods like LN2, and they are often they are also the best on water as well, if you can just keep the temperatures low, because they usually run very high clock speeds with very little voltage. With cooler CPUs or those that have like less leakage, they don't run as cool. You can go higher in terms of voltage on water, but they also require more voltage for a given clock speed. So there's quite many sides to determine what is a good CPU and what is not. So now I have set the input voltage to 1.9 with same vcore, and I put it 4.9 straight away. I'm not sure if this will pass, but we can see. It did better, and we can also see on core temp that the temperatures were better this time. So now none of the cores went above 80 degrees. The hardest running core was 79. So let's try that again. And it actually, yeah, it did crash. So let's try it again. Funny, so I had to raise the vcore to 1.265 in order to pass 4.9. So temperatures are really my limit here. So I don't want to risk the CPU too much, as it should be great. So yeah, the temperatures are the real reason why many of these CPUs do not hit 5 GHz water multi-core. So 4921 was the score. It's so on the edge that it crashed because when I had a core temp open, but it passed when I closed it. So the input is still at 1.9, so we can quickly test the temperatures. Yeah, it's going like peaking almost 90 degrees. Yeah, 90 degrees on the hardest core, so now it passed well. Coolest core was 70 degrees and the hardest 90. So the variation is very high, just like I said before. So now we could try 3D Mark 11 physics just for fun. I ran it at stock and the score was just 80,500. So that is like the score of a really high-end overclocked, like old Sandy Bridge E 6-core CPU. So now, if we run it at 4.9 with very good MEMS, I think the score should be like maybe 28,000 at least. It's higher on NVIDIA card than on AMD card, because NVIDIA has the physics, so it boosts the score. So the score is almost. So the score was 27,635. But that is easier test to pass than Cinebench or similar. So we could try the same test even at 5 GHz now, and it should break 28,000 very, very easy. So let's set 50. 50 on Elite, and then rerun the physics test. Yeah, very annoying when it's that slow. So let's try physics test again. It should pass. And it did not. Oh well. Now we could try the mesh, as we have pretty much found the maximum I can do for the core. This CPU will not pass 5 GHz of water just because of the temperatures. And I also have a little bit warmer ambient temperature in my room this time, around 26 degrees, when last time I think it was much lower, like 22, 21. So now we could try 34 on the mesh. And actually I will drop the core back to 4.8 so we can make sure that the limiting factor will be the mesh, not the actual core. So I'll drop the vcore to 1.245 as well, 1.3 still on the mesh voltage, and then we'll hit 10, go back to OS. So 33 on the mesh was very easy, and it does boost the score a lot. Sometimes one bump on the mesh actually gives more boost than one bump on the actual core, but this varies. So now we can try 34. 34 is already quite rare for any Skylake-X to do on water. So this should crash, I'm pretty sure. 4, 8, 11. Oh, it did crash. It did pass. So this definitely has an amazing mesh. So on LM2 I'm expecting that it should do 4.1 to 4.2, just like my 7900X. So we can try one more bump again, but it will definitely not do 35 mesh on water. So let's say 35 on Elite. Yeah, 35 mesh, and let's see how it crashes instantly. Oh, it is actually very close of passing. That is very weird. So if I set the mesh voltage to, let's say, 1.34 from 1.3, and if it passes 35, that is probably the best ever mesh I've seen on any Skylake-X CPU, so that is very surprising. We can just set 35 straight away. So yeah, this will be very interesting. The mesh is very important for tests like Geekbench to get the best possible performance there, and as well as XD. But well, we are not really running XD anymore. It gave just so much issues when the scores are inconsistent. It kills CPUs with its load, as it's pretty much AVX test like Prime 95 or similar. So we have stopped using that benchmark for competitive overclocking purposes. So now we just run tests like Cinebench, Geekbench, W Prime, GPU Pi. The only real tests that some still run that is AVX based is X265 4K and 1080p, but many are too afraid to run that as it can damage some CPUs due to the very high heat load. But actually Skylake-X CPUs have always survived it. It's quite funny. So yeah, let's keep fingers crossed now that it will pass 35. So this would be amazing if it passes. Oh, alright, that was really weird. So I didn't want to boot in on first attempt, but on second time passed. So let's try 35 on the mesh again. Yeah, passed, but the actual gain on the benchmark score was very minimal. So yeah, still this is definitely the best Skylake-X mesh I've ever seen. So it's very promising. So I'm sure it will do at least 4.1 on LM2. There. So let's try 3D Mark 11 again. I'm not fully sure how much mesh affects the 3D Mark 11 performance. It should affect by quite a bit. Yeah, this video ends up being quite long and too much my personal mumble, but I just wanted to make this video for fun. Oh, so it's unstable in 3D Mark 11, but it passes Cinebench R15 quite fine. Yeah, I think it's because this test uses memory and mesh more overall, so it's a little bit on the edge there. So I'll just go back and try again. So 34 on the mesh this time, and it did break 28,000, so it does affect the 3D Mark 11 physics score by quite a bit. And we can try Geekbench 3. Geekbench 3 is my favorite on these modern platforms to test the memory performance of your configuration. Just a little bit worried that how hot this test will run, but it shouldn't run more hot than Cinebench in general, although there is one small part in this test that utilizes AVX. Weird long Dijkstra part of this test. I thought it crashed, but it did not. So the hardest part in terms of preload is DFFT, as far as I remember. This definitely draws quite a bit of power from the wall. So SFFT, DFFT, yeah, 85 degrees on the CPU. So let's see the memory score, that's what I'm interested in. 80,126. Memory score 10,152. But the CPU speed and mesh speed they both do affect memory score as well. So the highest memory score I have got with any Skylake-X CPU was just over 11,000, but that was with CPU and LN2 and everything. So this is already very good. So now we can just try to push the memory a little bit higher. So we could try even 4,000 on the memory multiplier with, let's say, 1.96 here on the actual memory voltage, same timings and everything, and increase the internal system agent from 400 to 450. I wouldn't try more than 450 on ambient cooling, but we can try this quickly. Alright, so that did actually post very easy. So 4,000, 12, 11, 11, 24. The highest memory configuration I have done with Skylake-X was the 4133 with these exactly the same timings on the 7920X, which had an amazing IMC. Those memory settings Buildzoid actually pointed out on the original EVGA X299 Dark analysis video he made for the Gamers Nexus channel. So now we can just quickly retry the Geekbench 3 again. And no, it's not stable. So I think this is an IMC limit now and not actual memory stick limit. So I could try to push the memory voltage slightly higher still, but I think this is an IMC limit, more or less, because I already did 4133 with this, exactly the same memory configuration as I just said on the 7920X. Yeah. Alright, so I actually managed to pass 3D Mark 11 physics at the 4000 MHz on the memory with 2.02 volt set for the DRAM and same on the internal system agent. I could not pass Geekbench 3, it would always crash at Lua part of the test or at Dijkstra, which are pretty much the hardest parts of the whole test. So on LN2 I think I can pass it when I just can push the voltages a little bit higher, and of course the IMC quality will go up when you get the CPU colder, but this will not do 4133 like the 7920X. So messing around video with the new 9980XE sample from Taiwan. So the end result is that this CPU is maybe slightly behind the previous 9980XE on water. This seems to run much more hot. This seems to run much hotter than that previous chip. So this should be better on LM2, and actually this has already been tested on LM2 at 6 GHz for TimeSpy CPU test, so this should be very, very good. I'm really hoping that this CPU will do at least 5.7 to 5.8 plus for 2D tests like Cinebench, etc. So I could have any chance to compete against the top guys in the Skylake-X category, like Splade and Big Block and so on. So we will see about that. I will be testing this on LM2 very, very soon. But yeah, so of course you cannot run this type of memory configuration on for daily. So you should look for something like well, pretty much the same timing configurations like you would on a mainstream platform, but you just have to keep the frequencies slightly lower. And I think when the Skylake-X CPUs come out, we will see the frequencies go up on the X socket as well. So let's look forward to seeing those CPUs. Now I'm looking forward to getting some 6-core 8086K CPUs as well, as I would like to have some good bash on the 6-core category on the Z390 as well. So I'm still waiting for those chips. I'm really hoping that I get lucky with those, so I could have any chance against the top results there. So we will see. And then of course I have to retry the 2080 Ti on LM2 now that I have figured out some of the efficiency issues that I had. But yeah, we will see. So this whole video was just me messing around. I wanted to show you when I test a brand new 9980XE chip, and my personal opinion about these CPUs remains the same as I already said in my original 9980XE overclocking guide videos, that the whole Skylake-X refresh launch is a little bit useless. If you happen to own a golden like 7980XE and if you have deleted it, you have liquid metal between the actual core and the IHS, then you will not get any benefit from upgrading to 9980XE. The thermal performance is better with liquid metal than indium solder between the die and the IHS, so you should get a better result with deleted 7980XE. So I'm just surprised that this did not do 5 GHz that easy for Cinebench, but of course temperatures are my issue, not just the voltage. So yeah, there really aren't any like very stable 5 GHz Cinebench CPUs for water. So but yeah, that's the way it is. So now I'm just trying to get on LM2 very soon, and I'll try to make a video of it as well. I try to make more of these videos as I want to share my things with you and show you how I test different hardware and so on. But yeah, other than that, please like and share this video again, and subscribe to my channel if you liked it. And thanks for watching, and see you next time.